Hi everyone, this is Eric Van Buskirk, and I'm doing a follow-up to the webinar that I did earlier today on SEMrush, which was called Find 'em and Fill 'em, Topic Gap Analysis using SEMrush. And in that webinar, I talked a lot about why it's so important to have holistic, thorough, complete content on your website, and also when you're doing just one piece on your website, one blog post, or one page on your website. Um, and so now what I want to do is I want to go into the specific details of the tactics of how to do these techniques. And I'm not going to talk about why it's important. I'm going to talk about how to actually do this because I didn't have as much time for that. So in this case, I used 5 phrases to get to, they were basically, I used them as parent phrases to get to all of the other topics and find the degrees of similarity. And, I mentioned doing it manually. It does take, significantly more work. I use the modules that I built that are on my website, Tweet Philadelphia, where I can search in bulk. And for starters, I used 5 that were Xbox, Xbox News, and then I used the 3 product names, including Xbox Live. And then I found the top 5 of each of these, or maybe even more, like 8. In your case, if you're going to do it manually, perhaps just try doing something like Xbox with the top 10 results in SEMrush using that keyword. And once you have those, if you're using more than one, you want to dedupe if they're duplicates. If you feel like that extra occurrence adds relevance, because this is not 100% some kind of this backwards engineering is not. There's a few different ways of approaching this, but it's incredibly accurate no matter what. I don't like to use words from when a page appears twice because you're overemphasizing it. So you can dedupe those either by using a filter. That's probably the best way. Look in here, find out in that column if the URL appeared twice, then get rid of it. Then I just do these steps one at a time in the spreadsheet, one tab at a time. So now I do have the final URLs that I'm going to use. And this is where, if you did 10, you're going to have to download the Excel sheets 1 through 10 from SEMrush. If you have a way to bulk search these, then, you can do a massive amount using an API type module, using SEMrush's API. Then here we go. Now we have all the results. So one of the keys here is you are going to have to filter out eventually all of the appearances that are coming over and over in order to have a list in the end that's not showing something like, Xbox or XBix, these misspellings 17 times in your list. And I mentioned in the webinar that actually the results are going to show a huge number here. But as you go down, you get into these twosies and onesies. These aren't even relevant. I mean, these are related more to the particular page they're found on. But, look at how many phrases appeared as well on these source pages. I think the source pages were actually a little closer to 25 that I looked at. But so with my 25, I find that these are useful all the way down to probably maybe 3. And typically, yeah, you're gonna, wow, actually this is, oh, you know why? Because I haven't deduped these yet, that's why. When I dedupe them, these numbers will be much less because you're seeing these are appearing many, many times in the list. So, first of all, in order to count them, here's your formula. Okay, so maybe you want to just write this down, but it's count if in parentheses, and then the column, which is column B, with the colon B, comma, and then you just fill all the way down. So if you start over here, there's your formula, fill it all the way down to the bottom, very, very quick, no problem, very quick. So here I actually removed all the duplicates, and without even looking in advance, I believe the formula, here it is, remove duplicates. So you can select that column and remove duplicates. And now I actually can see how many words do I have that are useful. And if we go down to the 3s, You know, we're actually over up to 1,000, but maybe since I started with so many pages, for it to really show its relevance, we're going to say we want fours. And so now you still have 615 related terms and topics. Notice that I also sorted this by keyword volume as a secondary measure because, you know, we're doing this for topics, but even though this is sort of an SEO metric, it's extremely important because it's also telling us how popular and how common these topics are. So we know the degree of similarity based on the co-appearance, but what if we want to know, okay, it's similar, but does anyone even, you know, really look for that very often? And that's why this becomes a very important secondary criteria. Over here, this is actually just from what I used in the presentation today during the webinar, where I showed some of the interesting differences between the 19 appearances and the 2s and the search volume that I just mentioned.